So one of my biggest gripes about most electric piano sounds on Yamaha keyboards and other manufacturers is that when you are playing and you cross a certain velocity threshold, like you're playing softly and you gradually start to get a little louder, all of a sudden the keyboard kind of explodes with the sound. In other words, one sample is triggered when you're playing a soft sound, and as soon as you get right past the velocity point, it triggers a different sample, which is much different in sound, and it's very unrealistic. And I'm going to demonstrate what I'm talking about and maybe how to fix it. So this is the MODX, and I'm using a sound called vintage case. It's a very simple sound, and I'm going to gradually play harder. You see how all of a sudden the sound changes. So if you're trying to play evenly and you accidentally hit a note a little too loud, it kind of spoils the effect. Let me show you. So here I've recorded the same run 3 times, once with a velocity level of 90, and once I set it to 91, and then I alternated every note, 90 and 91. So you're playing very evenly, but listen to what happens. So now let me show you how you can fix that. So here's the sound. It's called Vintage Case, and it's on the MODX, but it was also on the Yamaha ES and the Yamaha XF, and probably on the XS as well. And you'll see when I play softly, it's the soft sound, and then as I gradually get louder, all of a sudden it'll just bust out with this louder sound. You hear some of those notes popping out there. So here's what I've done to adjust that. Go into edit mode, of course, and let's see. Let's get to the top here. So this is usually how it'll come up. So it says common here. You got to get down to the element mode and adjust these different elements. You'll see as I play very softly, you get element 1, a little louder. Sorry, a little louder, it's element 2, a lot louder, element 3, and if I really whack it, I get 4, and 5 is just the sound of the hammer kind of releasing the damper coming back down. So it's a very soft sound. We don't need to concern ourselves with element 5. The main 2 are element 2 and 3, because it's when it jumps from element 2 to 3 that it kind of gets an abrupt change of tone. So let's take a look at element 2. We see it triggers between 51 and 90. The thing that makes it gradual is this velocity crossfade. So let me crank that up to about 25. And let me do the same for element 3. Now, element 3 is triggering at a much lower level than it was before. It's really triggering way below 91. But we're getting 2 elements at once, and that's almost unavoidable, but we're going to work with that a little bit. So on this one, I'm going to raise the lower limit just a little bit, and on this one, element 2, I'm going to lower the upper limit. So now it seems like there's a little area where it's not going to trigger, but because of the crossfade, it will trigger. So it's much more gradual now. I'm going to play a little bit and just start soft and then gradually get louder and then get softer again. On element 2, I'm going to raise that just a little bit. Okay. Yeah, it's going pretty good. There's a few other things now that you can do to make it sound even better, and let me show you what they are. One thing we can do is go to, see, we got 2 and 3 hitting at the same time, so I'm going to pan them slightly. I'm going to take 2 and pan it to the left. Not all the way, but pretty far. And I'm going to pan this one to the right. And also, I'm going to slightly detune them. Just a little bit. Now, at least when they both hit at the same time, it'll have a little bit of a chorusing effect. Too much chorusing. Let me cut that out a little bit. Yeah, just slightly here. Now, let me compare that with the original patch and my patch. Now, I think there's more you can do to make these patches better, but that's just kind of a quick way of kind of adjusting it to the way you play. You know, some people have a harder touch than others, so you're going to have to, you know, adjust this to your own playing style. But I think it's an improvement. And let's see, I did kind of save one the way I like it. Let me see if I can find it real fast. Finding stuff on this thing is a pain in the butt. Here it is. I saved this one. I know it almost sounds a little bit more like a Wurlitzer piano at this point, but that's how you do it. All right. You know, another little improvement, I think, is that the very quietest sound could just be a little bit louder. So on element 1 here, go to amplitude, just bring the level up a little bit. You know, it still seems like it just jumps in there on element 3. Let me see why. Let me crank up that. That seems better. Yeah, I mean, I think you can tell. Here, let me turn another camera on so you can watch me do this. Now, another thing I've promised to do is make my patches available to you, the general public. And, you know, all I've ever done is save like everything. And I've got a big file loaded in here. I've got that Bosendorfer piano in here. So it's a really big file. So I'm going to try to get rid of that first so you can just download an easy small file. But, you know, before you load this onto your own keyboard, you know, and it should be a MODX, make sure that you've saved all your stuff first, because, you know, you're going to find my patches and you're going to want to go back and get your patches. And there's probably a way I could download like individual performances that you could then load on top of what you've already saved in your keyboard. So I'll try to make a few links available to various ways that I've saved my data. And I just wish you luck with it. And disclaimer, if you lose all your songs or whatever you put in your keyboard, it's your own fault for not backing up your computer or your keyboard first. So with that in mind, download at your own risk. Here's the patches. Just look down in the description and they should be down there. And if you like this video and like to see more of them, make sure you give me a thumbs up, a comment, and of course, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much. See you soon.